So today, I will speak about the probiotics, and I will also speak about the gut microbiota, that the bifidobacteria are the main probiotic bacteria that you can find in many products. After this, Ilya Ilyich-Mechnikov, he observed in 1908, he was a Russian guy, and he observed that in Bulgaria, people seems to live longer. And so he went to visit Bulgaria, and he noticed that people are eating many fermented products with Bulgarian bacillus. And in fact, he discovered that these people are eating yogurt, and there could be a link between their prolonged life and their regular consumption of yogurt. So he was the first to show a kind of evidence, a kind of relationships between the consumption of yogurt and the prolonged life. The term of probiotics in opposition to antibiotics. So probiotics is pro-life. Who are the probiotics? So if we come back to the definition of World Health Organization in 2001, so the probiotics are live microorganisms which, when administered in adequate amounts, confer health benefit on the host. The probiotics should be administered in adequate amounts. So this suggests a kind of daily consumption. It means that if the probiotics could have a positive effect, you should ingest them daily. In the probiotic bacteria, you have mainly lactobacilli, so Acidophilus, KZI. So KZI, for example, is the lactobacillus that Danone has added in Actimel in order to produce a functional dairy fermented product. Lactobacillus johnsoni, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and Lactobacillus plantarum. And considering the bifidobacterium, we have also 4 species of bifidobacterium that we can find in probiotic products. So other lactic acid bacteria could be found also in probiotic products, like Streptococcus salivarius subspecies Thermophilus, that we will find in yogurts, we will see. Some Enterococcus species also, and other bacteria like E. coli, B. subtilis, and Propionibacterium. And the important point that we should stress at this level is that the probiotic effects are strain-specific. They are not genera or species-specific. It means that if you have, for example, one strain of L-KZI able to stimulate the immune system, if you take another one, L-KZI strain, you have no guarantee that these other strain will have the same effect as the first one. The major health benefits of probiotics, you will see, because I will focus my talk at one point on yogurt, so lactose digestion, modulation of gut microbiota, modulation of immune system, and integrity of intestinal barrier. Especially this integrity is perturbed in many diseases, and in my talk I will speak about irritable bowel syndrome, where you have a perturbation of the permeability of the intestinal barrier. And probiotics have also major effects in pathogens inhibition, especially to prevent and to treat antibiotic-associated diarrhea and rotavirus infection. So the probiotics has significant effects in newborn kids in order to prevent them from rotaviral infections. They can directly against bacteria. They can direct also on the intestinal epithelial barrier. So these are a summary of the different modes of actions of probiotics. Could fight against pathogens like bacteria and viruses. They could mature the intestinal epithelium. They could modulate immune system. They could metabolize substrates and produce metabolites. And importantly, the probiotic effects will depend on the strain, the doses, the host, age and health status, and also the intestinal microbiota composition. So concerning the food products, so here you have a kind of panel of the fermented functional food that you can find in on French market, like Yakult, Activia, LC1. You can find also food supplements, so like the Bion 3 or VSL 3. They are containing probiotic bacteria, but they are also containing vitamins and minerals that could be provided also by yogurts. Until 2010, these probiotic products were considered as probiotic by French agency, and for example, Danone were allowed to show some advertisement on the activity of Activia to decrease transit time, or the activity of Actimel to stimulate natural immune defenses. Because in Europe, you are not allowed, except for yogurt, you are not allowed to mention probiotic strains, for example, on your product. And you are not allowed to make advertisement on the potential properties of your probiotic product. So the yogurt probiotic and lactose digestion is the only one health claim accepted based on probiotics. So the food constituent that is the subject of the health claim is yogurt cultures, live, which contains the starter microorganisms Lactobacillus delbrueckii, Subspe bulgaricus, and Streptococcus thermophilus, as specified by Codex Standard. And the panel, so the EFSA panel, has considered that live yogurt cultures, which are the subject of the health claim, are sufficiently characterized in relation to the claimed effect. So the claimed effect is lactose digestion. In the case of a person non-tolerant to lactose, in this case, they have no intestinal lactase, and the lactose will be fermented by commensal bacteria. So you will produce H2, CO2, CH4, and you will have a kind of intestinal disorders, okay? And in the case of ingestion of a yogurt product by such person, the lactose will be degraded by the bacterial beta-galactosidase, the bacterial contained in the yogurt, and you don't have any more trouble due to the lactose malabsorption, because in fact you will have a right intestinal absorption of your lactose. So this is a clear health claim accepted by EFSA. So the yogurt consumption improves lactose digestion in a person non-tolerant to lactose. So what should be done to get an health claim besides EFSA? So we should precise the characteristics and the mode of action of probiotics. A better knowledge of the strain will optimize the use of probiotics in healthy people, but also in sick people. We should also understand better the crosstalk between probiotics, commensals, and the host through multidisciplinary approach with microbiologists, physiologists, bioinformaticians, and clinicians. And we should also search for novel bacteria for novel health claims. We try to work with the strain which is present in Activia product, which is the Bifidobacterium annumalis subspelactis, and we have tested it in our preclinical low-grade inflammation model. And so you can see that we have confirmation of the low-grade inflammation status because we have no increase of the inflammation criteria, so we have a good absence of clinical inflammatory signal in our DNBS-treated mice. And so we can see that we have local low-grade inflammation. That, this is all correct. And this local low-grade inflammation status was counterbalanced by the Bifidobacteria, the treatment. You can see that we have a significant decrease of this status in the mice treated with our Bifidobacteria. And you can see also that we have a huge increase of the intestinal permeability, and this huge increase of intestinal permeability was also counterbalanced by the Bifidobacteria strain, and we can relate this to the modulation of tight junction proteins. For example, in this case, you have the Claudin-4 tight junction protein, which is decreased significantly in DNBS-treated mice, and which is increased significantly in the Bifidobacteria mice strains. And we have also observed also that in the DNBS-treated mice, we have a goblet cell alteration, which is no more shown in the Bifidobacteria treated mice. So we can say that the treatment with the Bifidobacteria strains also restored in vivo permeability by reducing goblet cells depletion. The role of the gut microbiota in diseases has been shown in inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, colorectal cancer, diabetes, and even in autism. And so the very important term is dysbiosis, and dysbiosis are compositional changes of the gut microbiota. So in a healthy people, you will have a kind of equilibrium between positive in blue and negative bacteria. And in the case of dysbiosis, for example, with a bacterial infection, or in the case of inflammatory bowel disease, you will have an unbalance in favor to negative bacteria. Today, I will focus on Faecalibacterium prosnitzi. Faecalibacterium prosnitzi is a gram-positive bacterium, is a member of the phylogenetic core, so all the healthy people in the room, they are harboring between 3.5 to 4% of their commensal bacteria. It's the major member of the Clostridium lepton group. It's a main butyrate producer, and it's extremely oxygen sensitive, so you should work in anaerobic chamber, and these are the publication that we have done on this bacterium. It's involved in many dysbioses, especially in Crohn's disease, but also in other intestinal disease, and it can be considered as a sensor of intestinal health. We have done parallel experiments between Faecalibacterium prosnitzi and a Lactobacillus rhamnosus strain that we are working with Danone, and this strain has a huge transepithelial resistance property. It means that probably it could restore the intestinal permeability. So what we did, we tested the effects of F-Pro and rhamnosus in our model, so in our low-grade inflammation model, and we can see that both strains have positive effects on the intestinal permeability in the mice. So it means that both F-Pro and rhamnosus strain have positive effects. So we can see also that these effects are focused on the concentration of tight junctions proteins, like for Bifidobacteria strains, and they seem to decrease also all the colonic cytokines related to local inflammation. So to conclude, F. prosnitzi, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and Bifidobacterium animalis have a positive impact on intestinal permeability, which is increased by the low-grade inflammation treatment. In the case of F. prosnitzi, we have shown that F. prosnitzi could have anti-nociceptive effects. So we have patented this, and we just published this work in 2016 in scientific reports. So now we will evaluate the effects of rhamnosus and B. animalis in neonatal maternal separation model. We will determine the bacterial effectors of F. prosnitzi, L. rhamnosus, and B. animalis, and we plan to design trials in IBS patients, and we hope that we will be enough solid to file a dossier besides EFSA based on the effects of our probiotic bacteria on intestinal permeability and on visceral hypersensitivity. So the future of the probiotics is probably they could be used to improve health, to restructure composition and activities of microbiota, and also to restore dysbiosis observed in many diseases. Thanks for your attention and to all my lab members.